Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make these leg warmers that I've made with some Lincraft cozy wool. So they're just plain rib crochet. They're about 50 centimeters long. I'll put the exact measurements into the free pattern you can download. This is the made in a sort of a beige, and I'm going to show you how to make them using this nice pink. So it's Lincraft cozy wool. It's 100% super wash. There's 174 meters in the ball, and the tension or the gauge is for a 10 by 10 centimeter square is 22 stitches by 32 rows. The needle size I used was slightly larger than it says to use. I used a 5mm hook, and of course scissors and tapestry needle to weave in just a couple of ends. There's not many ends, you crochet them together. So without further ado, let's start crocheting. Now first of all, I've made them one size fits all. So all we're going to do to start off with is make a chain of 57 stitches. So I make a chain by just tying a knot around the crochet hook. And then I'm just going to chain 57. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Once you have your chain of 57 stitches, you do a half treble or a half DC in US terms, or a half treble in UK terms, into the third stitch. So yarn over into the third stitch, pull through, yarn over and pull through 3 loops, and you continue working along the chain. I tend to go just into the 1 loop, and I will work until the end. Then I will have 55 stitches. So now we have finished the first row of half treble, half DC. Chain 2 and turn. Then you're going to be working into what I call the third loop. So you've got 1, 2, 3. This is the one you're going to be working into. So yarn over and then working into that back loop. Yarn over, working into that back, not the front 2, the back loop. And continuing to work in the back loop for the rest of that row. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so after row 1, looks a bit like this. This is the front, and then we turn and the back looks quite different. And the difference with row 2, we're going to chain 2, turn. The difference with row 2 is that we're going to go in the very front loop this time. So you'll see we've got 1, 2 there, and we've got this. So we're going to go under, and we're going to go in the very front through and pull through 3, under, in the very front loop, under, pull a loop through, under, pull through again. So what's going to happen is it's going to make a rib at the front of the work, and the back is going to look like this. So I don't really care what the back looks like because they're leg warmers. So there is another way you can do it if you like with the ribbing look, but I found this easiest. So yarn over, through the front loop, pull a loop through and pull through your 3 loops. So your back looks like this and your front is looking a bit rib-like, which is what we want. Okay, so you're going to continue like that to the end of the row, and you're actually going to continue these 2 rows, row 1 as before, working in the back loop, and row 2 working in the front loop. And if you continue that, you're going to have a fabric that looks, I'll just show you this other one, like this. Okay, so it's got a kind of a rib, it's almost like a double ribbing look about it. And then when you put them on, they're a bit sort of slouchy. So I'm going to continue that, and you're going to work until row 31 in those 2 pattern rows. So I'm going to continue doing that, and I'm going to meet you back here in this video when we've finished row 31. And then we're going to join. Now we're up to about row 15. This is the back, and I'm doing an even number row. So just to repeat again, into the very front stitch, going up, under, bring the loop through, under, through 3. So I'll just finish off this row. We're about halfway through, and then I'll show you what the front looks like. And then after that we'll skip to when I've finished all the rows. So I've been counting the rows as I do them. End of each row, chain 2, turn around, and this is what the front is looking like now. It's not meant to look like a perfect rib, but it looks a rib-like, which is pretty good for crochet. I don't care that the back looks like this because it's kind of insulated and it's kind of thicker, which is good for crochet. So now doing one more row. Now you have to kind of hold it with your thumb. You need to work loosely, and you can see I've got these 2 here, these 2 here, and I'm going into the 3rd or the back loop. I'm going down and in, pulling a loop through, under, pulling through, yarn over the hook, going into the back loop, pulling the loop through, yarn under, going through like that. So the end here is not perfect, but we're going to cover that up with a rib band, so I'm not too worried about that. And you can see that the front looks very rib-like. Okay, now we're going to skip to the next part where we've finished all of these rows. Now just finishing up row 30, so you've got foundation row plus 30 pattern rows. So the last couple of stitches in the back of row 30. It's 54 stitches and 55. I do like to count to make sure it's correct. Now what we're going to do, we've got the back, this is the back and the front. We're going to fold the leg warmer in half, fold it in half, because we're actually going to join it together by just doing slip stitches through both of the surfaces. Make sure the right side is on the inside and this is the wrong side. So we're just going to continue. We're going to go through each stitch, put the hook in one thickness, put the hook in the next thickness, pull a loop through, and one. So we're basically going to join through 1, 2, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull through that loop. And this thread hanging out is about the only one you're going to have to weave in. You could actually crochet over it, but I didn't at this time, but you certainly could. So in through both thicknesses, you can see that way, going through both thicknesses, pull a loop through and keep it relatively loose so it doesn't get too tight. So you're effectively, it's going to look like this, just joining it together. It's a little bit bulky, but it doesn't really matter with these leg warmers because they are kind of chunky and bulky anyway. Just make sure it's evenly together. As you get closer to the end, just check that it is right at the end here, that they match up. If they don't, I can usually fudge it a bit by, you know, putting a few stitches in here or there just to make sure it's right. So I'm going to turn the video off now. I'm going to work to join right to the end, and then without cutting the yarn, we're going to keep going. We're going to turn this inside out and make the rib band at one end. Okay, so now we have joined this completely. What I'm going to do is pull that loop quite large, turn them inside out, and now we're going to make the rib band at either end of the leg warmers. So you can see this is what the seam looks like joined. It's not too bad. I'd put it around the back if I was wearing the leg warmers anyway, so I'm not trying to be too precious and perfect here. Then you're going to pick up your loop again. You're going to have the right side facing you. And what I want you to do is you are going to treble or double crochet, treble in UK terms, double crochet in US terms. So 1, 2, 3, and you're going to work 42 stitches around the top of the leg warmers. Now, I'm actually not aiming for perfection here. Again, I want these to be quite slouchy and kind of messy and a bit rough. If you wanted to, you could do a row of single crochet if you thought that would be a neater way to attach this rib band. But I'm just going directly with the double crochet. And then we're going to do a front post stitch to make it look a bit rib-like. So I'll meet you at the end when we've got approximately 42 stitches around the edge. So to get 42 stitches going around, you work into every rib-looking type row and you work into every second bit in between. And that will give you 42 stitches, which makes it a little bit smaller, but not too small. It still gives it a bit of stretch, okay? So into every rib and every second bit in between. And then once you've got 42 stitches, then you join at the top of the first chain 3, you slip stitch, and then chain 3, and this time you're going to be doing a front post stitch. So a front post treble or a front post double crochet is when you put the yarn over the hook in at the right side, put the hook through, and then pull the yarn through and finish like a normal treble or a normal double crochet. This is going to make it look a little bit rib-like. So you're going to do that in every one of the 42 stitches. Then you're going to work one more row in the same way, and then slip stitch together, and that is it. It's just a small rib-like band at the top, and it's a kind of a different ribby look. So you've got 2 types of crochet rib in this leg warmer, even though it's very simple. So as you do that, under, through on the right, across the back, pull it through, finish it UK terms treble, American terms double crochet. Front post, ironically it goes along the back though. Yarn over. I guess you're saying that the post is at the front. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way around. So you're getting it to look a little bit like a rib at the top there. So you've got this rib across, different kind of rib at the top, just to hold those leg warmers in place. And you're just going to finish this row and work one more row, and I'll show you the final bit next, where you're going to finish off with an invisible join. Then you will do another row of rib at the bottom, and that's it, you're done. Then to finish off that front post row, you're just going to slip stitch top of the 3rd chain there, pull it through, 1, 2, 3, and then one more row going around the back like this, again with the front post treble, behind, underneath, pulling that through, finishing off the treble or finishing off the double crochet, depending on whether you're using treble for UK terms or double crochet for US terms. And I'm just going to finish this 2nd row of front post trebles and double crochets, and then I'm going to show you how we do the invisible join. And finally, to fasten off, we want to leave a bit of a tail. If you're doing an invisible join, you want to leave a bit of length. So you fasten off by pulling that through. And I like to do invisible joins with a crochet hook. So this is what I do. The first proper stitch, well, where are we? Or perhaps we should say the 2nd proper stitch. So you're not using the 3 chain there, you're going into this first proper stitch, then you're going to pull the yarn through, and then you're going to go upwards into the first stitch over here and pull this through downwards like that to make it look like a stitch. So it should be joined pretty well. And then I like to weave that end in very securely. You want to do a lot of ups and downs there just to make sure that is very, very secure. Okay, You don't want to make it too tight. And then pretending that I've done a lot more sewing in than I have. Normally I would do quite a bit more. Just show you that band. So now you've got a little band, that's the top of your leg warmers. You fastened off, so the next thing you're going to do is do the same thing as you did up here with this end. And then after that, they will look a lot like this with both ends done.